Alrighty, good morning everybody and welcome to the wolfSSL live webinar on post-quantum and CNSA 2.0 with wolfSSL engineer Anthony Hugh. My name is Kajal Subkota and I will be moderating this webinar. As a reminder, all attendees will be in listen-only mode. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box or raise your hand to be unmuted if you'd like to ask the question live, as we will host a Q&A session following this presentation. This webinar will also be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel shortly after the presentation, and I invite everyone to follow us on Twitter and Mastodon at wolfSSL, as well as all of our other socials. And please feel free to email us at facts, that's FACTS, at wolfSSL.com if you have any additional questions. And now I'd like to give a brief company overview before we move to the technical presentation. So wolfSSL was founded in 2004 by Todd Auska and Larry Stefanik when they realized there wasn't an open source dual licensed embedded SSL library available. OpenSSL existed at the time, but there was a demand for an alternative that was easily portable, smaller, faster, available under a clear commercial license, was equipped with a clean and modern API, and offered commercial-style developer support. wolfSSL was born into this market need with an OpenSSL compatibility layer. Today, wolfSSL secures over 2 billion connections. We have more than 1,000 OEM customers and dozens of resellers. wolfSSL is made up of almost 50 dedicated employees in 2023, most of which are engineers. This progress, of course, is supported by our strong partner network that we're very proud of, which includes DDCI, STMicro, and RTI, for example. Since the beginning, our engineering team have developed several embedded security products, including wolfCrypt with DO178 support, FIPS certification, and a FIPS-ready offering, MQTT up to the version 5 specification, SSH v2, TPM 2.0, a secure bootloader known as wolfboot, as well as Java wrappers and JSSE support, and commercial support for curl. All of these offerings are accompanied by thorough maintenance and support plans up to the 24/7 level. We also offer full service consulting. And now I'm going to hand it over to Anthony for the presentation.
Thank you, Kajal. Can you hear me?
Yep, sound great.
Excellent. So let me introduce myself. My name's Anthony Hugh. Whoops, that went a little bit too. My name is Anthony Hugh, and I'm an employee of. I work as part of the wolfSSL team. My specialization is in post-quantum cryptography, but and actually the protocols on top of the post-quantum cryptography, and but I also do general work as part of the team. Today, we're going to be talking about post-quantum cryptography, but more specifically, the CNSA announcement that happened earlier last year. So what is the CNSA? Well, it's guidance given by the National Security Agency, and the CNSA stands for Commercial National Security Algorithm Suite 2.0. So what does it really, what's the purpose of this document? That is to basically give guidance with regards to what industry should be doing. They want to sell to the U.S. government cryptographic products. Document, as you can see there, is linked at defense.gov, and I happen to have it right here. Yeah, so you can see, have a look. It looks like this. It's several pages long, and I'm just going to go into I'm not going to go into too many details about it, but I am going to highlight it a bit. I'm going to highlight some important points of it. Let's see now. So basically, the main thing the document specifies is it gives guidance on algorithms for you to protect against quantum computers. So if you're going to be selling to the US government cryptographic software and hardware for that matter, you need to support these algorithms to be compliant with their guidance. So this includes AES 256, SHA 384, or SHA 512. They're notably requiring post-quantum algorithms. They want Kyber at level 5 as defined by NIST, and lithium at level 5 as defined by NIST. And very interestingly, they're also requiring LMS or XMSS. So there's going to be a demo as part of this presentation, and I just sort of like to talk about the preparation for the demo, because this demo is going to require authentication, and when we do authentication over TLS 1.3, there's a certificate chain. For people who have been following our work in post-quantum cryptography, this is going to look very familiar, with a few little changes, because we did a similar demo about a year ago, but back then we did the same demo with Falcon. This time around we're going to be using dilithium, and for all intents and purposes, the difference is going to be very, very minimal. You don't really see any changes in the demo, but it's an interesting thing because it's an interesting new twist because we added dilithium after we added Falcon. And I should be clear, dilithium it's one of the algorithms that is slated for standardization by NIST. It was picked at picked as a winner of the NIST PQC competition. So drafts of standards should be coming soon. So anyways, in this particular demo, we're going to be generating a two certificate chain. We're going to have a root CA, and we're going to have a server certificate along with the server private key. We're going to be using the OQS fork of OpenSSL, which is integrated with libOQS to generate the certificates. So on to the next slide. The actual demo this time around will again use curl as the web client, and last time we used Apache as the web server. Now the web server is, let me think. The web server, it will be Lighty. It's spelled like HTTPD, but it's pronounced Lighty in general. And Kyber and dilithium will both be implemented by libOQS, and the protocol that's riding on top of libOQS will be TLS 1.3. And again, the client side will have a root CA certificate, and the web server will have the server certificate and server private key. It's going to need the server private key, obviously, to sign the transcript to prove that it actually is the entity it claims to be, the web server. So let's talk about the software versions that we'll be using here today. We have obviously libOQS and the OQS fork of OpenSSL. Again, the fork of OpenSSL is only to generate the certificate chain. We'll be using wolfSSL examples, curl, And this summer I'm going to be using our OSP branch to, our OSP repo, which will contain certain patches that we're going to need to apply. And of course, LIDE HTTPD version 1.4.51. That's actually in our OSP repo. So here are places and ways you can download code. So, we got a link for libOQS, for libOQS as well as their OpenSSL, wolfSSL, and our various repos are all under GitHub. So, you can find everything there. For building libOQS, it's very simple. You basically clone it, you check out that specific SHA, and you build it. That's about it. You can use CMake to build it. We specify specifically not to use OpenSSL, and you don't need it. It just makes I think it makes things a lot simpler for us if you don't use OpenSSL in their build system. And we of course install it. Now, for the OpenSSL fork, we did something a little bit different. And this seems really this is complicated by the fact that we wanted to support different Sphinx parameters from what the OQS wanted to support. So we had to change some of the things that they generated. So we had to kind of patch it. We didn't specifically change very much in the OpenSSL fork that they maintain. What we did was basically just generate. There's a bunch of generated code in their fork of OpenSSL, so we had to generate that generated code, and that regeneration allowed for support of different parameter sets in Sphinx. But that doesn't really have anything to do with this particular demo. However, this is what our system now requires. So you build this, and then you get a script for generating dilithium chains here. So this script for generating dilithium chains is kept in our OQS repo. And so you just copy it from there and execute it in the same directory. Basically instantaneous. It's really, really fast. It'll generate certificate chains for levels 2, 3, and 5 of dilithium. But we're only going to be using 5 for this particular demo. Sorry, level 5 for this particular demo. Note that for the OpenSSL, you don't actually need to install OpenSSL. You're just going to run it locally right after you build it. So for now we can now build wolfSSL. Again, building wolfSSL is super simple in this particular case. We got it off of the GitHub. We point you to the GitHub repo. When you build wolfSSL from the GitHub repo, you need to do an autogen first. So the autogen script is going to require the autoconf tools as well as the libtool tools. So make sure that your system installs that. By the way, all of this whole presentation kind of assumes you're building on Linux. This is a Linux build. Right, so of note is the configuration line here. It's -- enable LIDE, -- enable curl, and -- with libOQS, because the client will be LIDE sorry, the client, the web server will be Lighty. The client will be curl, and we are obviously integrating with libOQS for the post-quantum implementations. We do a make all, and then we do a make install, just to make sure that Lighty and we have to install because Lighty and curl need to be able to find it. So building curl is really, again, really fast and simple. You just configure with wolfSSL. And because we enabled OQS, the libOQS in the build of wolfSSL, we're basically going to be able to leverage that configuration as within curl. Curl has a couple modifications when building wolfSSL to be aware that the post-quantum algorithms are there and to be able to use them. So again, it's a make all and sudo make install to get the libraries in place. Building Lighty is it's not too bad. So what's happening here is we're going to do a configure. We're going to configure with wolfSSL, and again, that will let it know to use wolfSSL. We didn't want to complicate the build with bzip and zlib and pcre, so we just sort of made sure that configure script didn't the build we're building in a way that we don't need those, just to simplify things. We do a make all and a make install so that the executables know where the libraries are again. And so of note here is setting up the what are they called? The certificates. The way Lighty likes the certificates to be is in a single file. And so what we're doing is we're taking the server private key. I call it the entity private key, but it's just a server, and the entity certificate, as well as the root certificate for dilithium level 5. And we are concatenating all together and saving them to a server.pem file, because all of them are PEM files. So what's going on here now is you can see the color coding. So red just is always the red color coding of these fonts just lets you know that that's not the actual path. You need to kind of fill in the path for your own environment. And so the blue coding is basically for specifying that this is something that the CNSA 2.0 is requiring. We'll go on to the next slide here. So now is demo time. So just bear with me. I'll bring in the right windows. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. So here we have, you can see the Lighty web server is already started and running. And here's the command line for curl right here. Now, I'll go into a bit more detail with size and color coding, but I'm just going to run this right now just so you can see. And as you can see, we got the expected output and the connection was successful. And let's go into a little bit more detail about what you just saw. So there's the execution of Lighty. We go in there and that was the exact that was the exact command line that you saw us use. For curl is a bit more interesting in that it's got all of command line parameters to specify things. we're specifying Kyber at level 5. Notably, the green lettering is it's what is it called? Green lettering is a symbol, is symbolically saying this is required for FIPS. So if for FIPS, it requires ECC. One of the approved curves for ECC is P521. So if we can hybridize it with Kyber level 5, then we're both in compliance with FIPS as well as CNSA 2.0, which is really an interesting use case because there will be a transition time where you're going to want to stay FIPS compliant, but also start to transition over to what the CNSA 2.0 specifies. So this allows for that. Now, the CA cert is the certificate that the root certificate that we generated for the lithium level 5. And the cipher suite is using AES 256 and SHA-384, which is and this TLS AES 256 GCM SHA-384 is a standard cipher suite within TLS 1.3, so that's perfectly fine. And so what you've seen is a connection that is compliant with the CNSA 2.0 specification, but also has key exchange that is compliant with FIPS, which I think is a really interesting use case as we start to think about transitioning over. As you saw, we got the expected congratulations. You got LightHT with wolfSSL to run. I'll just make sure you see that again. Yeah, there it is. And so that's the end of that demo. And yeah, nothing went wrong, thankfully. Now I know these demos are kind of, they're not as exciting as if there was a user interface or something a bit more colorful, but this is the nature of cryptographic protocol demos, I guess. So let's talk about what's going on, what happened there. We did authentication at the lithium level 5, and that thwarts or averts Shor's algorithm. We did key establishment with a chem, the Kyber chem at level 5. Again, that thwarts or averted Shor's algorithm. And we use symmetric encryption at AES 256, which thwarts Grover's algorithm. AES 128 is probably fine for now, but again, CNSA's guidance is to stick with AES 256, so that's what we're doing right now. As a demo, so for the demo, this demo was literally compliant with CNSA 2.0, and this was done today in 2022, so I think that's pretty interesting. And again, as I mentioned before, the ECC P250 P521 is required by FIPS. So we had a FIPS compliant key exchange as well. So there's a bit of an elephant in the room here. We didn't have FIPS compliant authentication. We had post-quantum authentication, and that was compliant with CNSA 2.0. So you're probably wondering, well, shouldn't you do the same thing for authentication? And I wholeheartedly agree, and the answer is yes. But how we would hybridize the certificates are still up for debate. If you talk to people at standardized organizations such as the IETF or ETSI, they're still in the thick of the debate as to where we're going to go with hybridizing certificates. So my answer is yes, we want to do authentication, hybridized authentication, but we still need some guidance on how to do the actual hybridization. Please let us know if you have an opinion. Please email us at facts@wolfSSL.com. We'd love to discuss your feelings on this topic. So just a general thing, a general discussion, not necessarily about the CNSA 2.0. These are the algorithms that we support. The blue ones are obviously CNSA 2.0 algorithms. We support all the specified levels of dilithium, as well as Falcon and Sphinx. Don't support all the Sphinx Plus variants. There were a lot of variants in Sphinx Plus, and it would have been a little bit too hard to support all of them. So we've supported a subset. I think we support 6 of them. For chems, we support Kyber. Notably, if you've been following our work, you'll notice that a lot of that we're missing some of them from before. We used to support ntrue as well as Saber, but we decided to remove them as they did not pass the competition. You might also notice that we removed the AES variant of dilithium and the 90S variant of Kyber. NIST has basically said that they're not interested in bringing those forward to standardization. So because of that, we also removed them as well. We're doing our best to follow what's going on in the standards organizations and follow NIST. NIST is our is our guide in this particular post-quantum journey. So a really interesting thing here is the hybrid groups. We hybridize Kyber with P256, P384, and P521. Notably, they're all FIPS approved curves. So you can move to post-quantum and stay with FIPS during your transition. Excuse me. Okay, next slide. So there's another elephant. There's even another elephant in the room, and you're probably wondering about XMS and HSS. And so, yeah, we haven't done those algorithms yet. But, you know, the CNSA 2.0, it requires that signing and state management for these algorithms be in hardware. And so what that really means is that what would be best for us would be to actually integrate with a hardware vendor, such as HSM or some other hardware module that would implement signing and key generation and protect the state properly, because there are various pitfalls and risks associated with the state of stateful hash-based linear schemes. So, you know, how that's going to play out and, you know, how that's going to happen is still kind of up in the air for us. So we're thinking about it. And so that takes us to the end of the presentation and the end of the demo. If anyone has any questions, we've got lots and lots of time for questions now. I'll open up the floor. Kajal, can you help me out here?
Yeah, of course. We have one question here. Is there standard format for post-quantum cryptography like there is for PKCS?
That's a great question. And the answer is no. As of yet, there are no standards for the formats of these artifacts. You might say there are de facto standards in the sense that each of the NIST post-quantum teams specified reference implementations and submitted reference implementations, and those are kind of what we're playing with these days. So we actually interop with the OQS teams implementations of protocols, but those aren't standard. When we say standards, we mean a format that has specifically been documented by a standards organization. And so NIST will be putting out draft standards for these algorithm formats in, I believe they said this year sometime, but no one's gonna, you kind of just have to patiently wait. So this year, once the draft standards are released for these algorithms, they will be they'll be debated for a year, and then they will become permanent. Are they going now? Perhaps an interesting follow-on question might be: are they going to be the same format as what has been specified in the papers? And NIST has reserved the right to make tweaks. So likely the answer is no, they won't be the same format. On the other hand, when I mentioned XMS and LMS, those algorithms are standardized, and they both have RFCs from the IETF specifying those standardized formats. So you can go to the IETF and download those RFCs and look at that and look at what they specify. I hope that answers the question to your satisfaction.
Awesome. I'd just like to remind everyone you can use the Q&A box at this time to ask questions. And now we're moving on to the next one. Can you just move back one slide? I think some people missed the content on the slide. Awesome.
Yep.
And then
I should point out that we can, if you email facts@wolfSSL.com, we can get you PDFs of these slides.
Yeah. I have another question here. Do you support a X25519 Kyber hybrid?
We do not, but there is a lot of interest in that. But as of yet, we do not do an X25519 hybridization. We're obviously wolfSSL. wolfSSL puts a high priority on FIPS, and so we've decided to hybridize with the FIPS ECC curves. If there is interest, if you are interested, please email facts@wolfSSL.com. Registering your interest in Kyber hybrid X25519 hybrid as well. Let us know which level you're interested in seeing, which level of Kyber you're interested in seeing hybridized with it. That's something that would be a really interesting conversation to have.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
What are the performance ramifications of moving to the post-quantum algorithms? Have you tracked, and are you actively tuning the performance characteristics of the implementations?
Yeah, so the performance implications are actually not that bad. Dilithium is a fairly fast algorithm. Kyber and Falcon both are actually faster than ECC. So the performance there is not an issue. Where the issue might come in is in artifact sizes. So artifact sizes are larger. We're in the range of kilobytes here. And so how that affects things is, when you push out ciphertext or you push out public keys over a protocol, that can affect performance in that you're just pushing out more bytes. So if you have a slower connection, it's gonna affect things. It's also gonna affect your memory because artifacts being larger, obviously you're gonna need to store them, and you can't just sort of stream through them. They need to be around the whole time. So you get the impact is more on memory usage and transmission time rather than actual algorithm execution time. We do have benchmarks. They're on our benchmarking page. If you just, you can Google wolfSSL benchmarks. And then the last couple of items are for our benchmarking data for all the algorithms that we have in wolfSSL.
Awesome. Next question is, what are your thoughts on KEM TLS? Any plans to support it?
ChemTLS, that's an interesting question. If you're looking to experiment with TLS and wolfSSL, you can do that today. There is a research team who are really good friends of wolfSSL. I've spoken to them many times. They've actually implemented ChemTLS using wolfSSL. I think it's great. I think that work is amazing. On the other hand, do we have, wolfSSL is a very customer-driven organization, and so one of the things that would have to happen would be for someone to say, yeah, we want ChemTLS. But the problem there is that I think it's facing a little bit of resistance in standardizations organizations, and so I don't really know how that's all going to kind of work out. If there's interest, again, I would love to bring ChemTLS into wolfSSL. And just so for people out there who are not sure about what ChemTLS is, it's a version of TLS protocol where certificates are still used, but the signature, the online signature is eliminated from the TLS handshake and is replaced with an extra, I think just one extra chem operation. This is good because well, it makes things a lot simpler in the protocol. Not having to do signing operations could improve performance, and importantly, it simplifies the protocol and would not require signing at all in protocol code. So that's a really, really interesting development. I would love to bring it in to wolfSSL, but right now I'm not really sure as to how much interest there is in the wider community. Oh, I'm done with that one, Kajal.
Okay, awesome. There is a recording that will be available this weekend. We'll upload a recording of this webinar to our YouTube channel. That it's just you can find us on YouTube at wolfSSL, and it will be live Saturday morning. So. And if you email, as Anthony said before, facts@wolfssl.com, we'll email you the PDF of the slide deck beforehand as well. Okay, Cloudflare is X25519 Kyber 512 draft 00 ready. I think this person just wants a confirmation or would like to know if that's the case.
Oh, I was not aware of that. So they've written a draft in the IT. I guess the person who asked that question is saying that Cloudflare has a draft for X25519 with Kyber. And I will, at least that's what I'm guessing he's saying, or she. And my response is that I was not aware. I will look that up after this webinar.
Okay, awesome. Can dilithium or Kyber integrate with X509?
So Kyber is a chem. There has, again, there was a question about ChemTLS. Well, ChemTLS, how that would happen would be a chem public key being signed, being part of a X509 entity certificate or leaf certificate, depending on your terminology. But yeah, dilithium in this particular demo that you saw today, we made an X509 certificate chain with dilithium. And our demo demonstrated its usage as part of the TLS connection. So yes, dilithium can be integrated as part of X.509 and will be. Notably, once OIDs are defined for it and once it's standardized, I am sure dilithium will go into X509 certificates. That's it.
Fantastic. Could you expand a bit more on what exactly was meant about quantum attacks that is defending? I assume it is not quantum computing directly, but one of the other pillars of quantum computing.
So when I talked about the threat reverted, Shor's algorithm as well as Grover's algorithm are algorithms that don't run on classical computers or conventional computers as we know them. They are designed to run on quantum computers. And when they do, they break modern cryptography that we know today. So when I say modern cryptography, I mean RSA and ECC. All of these algorithms will break those algorithms. And so we need post-quantum algorithms, which run on conventional computers, do not have a threat once quantum computers are a reality. Now note that that's not to say that quantum computers can't break these post-quantum algorithms. It's that if they can, we still don't know how it would happen yet. And I hope that was a satisfactory answer.
Yeah. I noticed that OQS-OpenSSL is marked as experimental and not production ready. Is wolfSSL's post-quantum implementation production ready?
Again, it depends on how we frame this as an experiment, somewhat of an experimental thing that you should be doing right now. If you look at the guidance that NIST and any standards organization gives out there, they're saying you need to understand what's going to be happening when you do your transition. So we are providing these integrations and these algorithms for you to experiment. We specifically mark this support as experimental in the sense that we fully encourage you to experiment, but know that none of these algorithms, none of the algorithms, so let me go back to this page. None of these algorithms are standardized yet. So you can expect that you should not expect any kind of interoperability or backwards compatibility once you're using them. That said, we are working on our own implementations. And if you're interested, please do email facts@wolfssl.com. Let us know where your interests lie in terms of these algorithms.
Okay, fantastic. Does post-quantum or does wolfSSL post-quantum crypto have support for embedded systems?
In fact, we do an integration with PQM4 library on STM32 boards. And I actually have another, what is it called? Another webinar that is a demo of the STM32 of the integration on an STM32 with TLS over UART. So if you're interested, you can find that on our YouTube channel. And there's also guidance for how to do that on the wolfSSL examples repo. If you can't find it, please do email us, and I give you specific links and pointers to those.
Okay, awesome. And then what is the processing speed and ACLU requirements?
Oh, so it was, so we, CLU, I'm not familiar with that terminology, but I can tell you that we've gotten it running
sorry,
about
ALU.
ALU. Yeah, I'm still not familiar with that particular acronym either. But what I can tell you is we've seen Kyber running on, you know, on an M4. So like a Cortex, ARM Cortex M4, and it's perfectly fine. There's no problem there. It didn't feel any faster or slower than regular ECC. So there's no from an end user perspective, there's no real impact in terms of performance. I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Do you have plans to use post-quantum crypto through PKCS 11 interface? And are there some definitions already available?
I don't know if there are definitions available yet. I haven't been following the OASIS standardization committee's work in post-quantum crypto. But yeah, I mean, we're wolfSSL. We integrate with any hardware we can. So are there plans? I'm aware of, the work that they're doing, but I don't follow it very closely. But yeah, I would imagine that, what I was saying earlier about XMS and HSS, we would probably, the best case scenario or the ideal would be for us to integrate with an HSM running PKCS11 and having the keygen and signing operations in the HSM. So that would be most ideal. And so yeah, there are plans in that sense. If you know of an HSM implementation you want wolfSSL to integrate with it, please, again, email us. Please do email us.
Awesome. Next question. Are you aware of any current hardware implementation of post-quantum algorithms, specifically for embedded systems?
So yeah, I think there's a company up in Ottawa called Crypto4, and there are various other. So actually, the best place to ask about this is the NIST NCCOE project for post-quantum migration. There are various hardware vendors that are part of that effort. And so I don't want to accidentally promote one but not the other. So what I would say is reach out to the NIST NCCOE project for quantum migration, and they'll let you know, what activities are going on there and what vendors are there doing cooperating for interoperability and discovery. So I didn't, sorry, I didn't want to give out specific names of companies and accidentally promote one but not the other. So please do that. Please reach out to the NCCOE, NIST NCCOE.
Okay, and this is our final question that we have. What, I don't know how to ask this. I guess what is clock speed M4?
What's the clock speed of an M4? I think it's like 144 megahertz. I actually, so I give you the actual name of the board, and that will let you look it up. The board that I have is a Nucleo F446ZE, and you can look that up on what the actual hardware specifications of the chip that's that board. But it's a Cortex M4 board.
Oh, I guess they wanted to know for an STM board, and the clock speed of an M4 is 120.
Yeah. So this is the Nucleo board that I have is created by STM. Again, that's Nucleo-F446ZE. And I guess looked it up as 120, and thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I think that was the last of our questions. If you have any other questions or comments, if we've stated before, please email us at facts@wolfSSL.com, and we'll be happy to help you. If you'd like to receive a copy of the slide deck, also email us at facts@wolfSSL.com, and we'll be happy to send that over. And as a reminder, this webinar is recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel at wolfSSL this Saturday morning, or this coming Saturday morning. So stay tuned for that. And thank you, Anthony, so much for a fantastic presentation. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And I hope everyone has a fantastic day.
Thank you, Kajal. Bye-bye.